Hello! So I have made a few changes to my mod IHarvest, which I will be releasing very shortly as version 1.1.0, and I figure it's worthwhile to make a short video to show some of those changes off. I've teleported myself to Sindarian's Field Laboratory, a good old Sindarian on the floor there, because it's a convenient place to get both the spellbook and the new, introduced in this version, Staff of Harvest, both of which I will be showing off. Let's get the spell equipped. I clicked that wrong, didn't I? Yep. Okay, there we go. So the spell works roughly the same as it had. The only change that I made in this version is the magic drain. It now only drains when critters actually spawn, which I think a little bit smoother than it had been. Okay. Now, new in this version is the Staff of Harvest, as you can see. This works a little bit differently from the concentration spell. So this is a toggle. You can see the indicator, little indicator light in the top left. It's a modified mage light. That is active when the spell is active. So a few other changes that I made in this version. I reorganized the mod configuration menu, as you can probably see if you're familiar with the older version. And I added two new options. So one of the options is Magic at Cost, which you can configure to your heart's content. I'll put it almost free. Stop casting, okay. So everything here is already harvested, so for these guys to finish up. Okay, so you can see that if... actually, you know what? Let's buff myself. And... alchemy. Alright, so this is this should be the most powerful that the... well, as powerful as the spell can get. Movement speed is just for convenience. So that has considerably increased the range. Alright, and you can see that spell drain configuration is working as intended. Now, the staff works a little bit differently from most other staffs in the game. For one, it is actually useful, or at least is intended to be useful. So, the staff has a capacity of 4,000, which at the default drain rate of 12 per critter is, I think it's 333, if I'm not mistaken, casts before you have to recharge the staff. The staff is also more powerful than the in-hand, left-hand version that I've got right now. The standard version of the spell, I should say. It has a little bit longer range and is a little bit faster, which is a trade-off for, well, having to actually have an object in your inventory to use it, and the power source of Soul Charge I consider to be substantially more expensive than just Magicka. The staff is also somewhat more convenient to use on account of the toggle, especially for me, because crappy Omron switches in my Logitech mouse are starting to go out. Thank you, Logitech. Anyway, I'm just going to run around and cast a spell for a bit. Or rather, let the spell, let the staff do its thing. Let's see. Before cash, harvest food. What else am I gonna do? Why not? That up a little bit. Turn that up a little bit. A lot bit. Yeah, why not? So after you make changes like that, it's generally a good idea to recast the spell. So a lot of attributes are only read immediately upon casting for performance instead of repeatedly. Nope.
City's closed with the dragons about.
Squeaky chair. Now, if you are a madman, you can cast both the staff and the spell at the same time. I don't recommend doing this on a heavily modded load order because game engine can only handle so much, and this spell is really hard on it. Let's be honest. But this setup I've got right now is otherwise vanilla, so it can handle it just fine. My goodness. So I have, since the original version, I made some changes to try to make these things less likely to bump into you, but, well, I can only do so much, unfortunately.
God might get nervous.
Oh, at some point, I noticed that our staff has run out of charge. I failed to notice. Let's go somewhere else. What is that? Nope. Now, you'll notice that none of the critters actually did anything in that cell, because that cell is owned, and so they will not steal. And, well, this cell isn't owned, so they're perfectly happy to collect all that moss and everything else.
Hey, you mix potions, right?
I'm not sure about that. So, if you want to, of course, there is nothing stopping you from making these things both free. So, if you feel that to be prudent. Yeah, now these staff should have stopped draining, and, well, you can tell that my magic has stopped draining. Actually, you can't, because it's not gonna... because everything's already been harvested. This is a procedure that during mod development I've done a lot of times, just getting critters to hoover up a bunch of things on the ground. It's a very good way to quickly test it and make sure nothing horrible is happening. Oh my goodness. Anyway, I see this past about 10 minutes. I don't really have anything else to say. So, enjoy. Oh, and I just realized I should show my inventory. Because why not? So, there you go. I apologize for the abysmal audio quality, too, but this microphone is really, really bad, and I don't have the money to afford a better one. So, goodbye again.